At the beginning of the story, we see Queen Himiko of Japan determined to destroy her entire kingdom through dark sorcery. To save the nation, her own generals revolted, imprisoned her, and left her on a remote island, far from any trace of civilization. Years later, Lord Richard Croft stumbled upon an ancient map revealing the location of that island. Determined to uncover the truth, Richard left his daughter behind in London and set off on a dangerous journey to find Himiko. 7 years had passed since that day, and now Lara, fully grown, was competing in MMA. During the fight, Lara was clearly being overpowered by her opponent. Soon, her opponent had her in a chokehold. Lara struggled for a long time, but eventually had no choice. She had to tap out. After her father disappeared, Lara managed to survive by taking on small jobs here and there. One day, her father's former business partner, Anna, came to see her. Anna said, "You don't need to do all this for money. Your father left you a lot." But Lara didn't want any of her father's money. Richard had vanished 7 years ago. So Anna told her, "Look, just sign the papers so we can legally declare Richard dead. Otherwise, all his property will be sold off. You're not going to get anything either." That evening, Lara found herself thinking about her father. Before he left, Richard had given her a necklace that once belonged to her mother. He told her, "If you think about someone while holding this necklace, they'll somehow know you're remembering them." The next day, Lara visited the Kraft Holdings building to sign the official papers declaring her father dead. Just before she could sign, the lawyer handed her one of Richard's puzzles. It was called Karakuri. Lara took it, and after a bit of effort, managed to solve it. Inside, she discovered a hidden letter and a small key. The letter began with a cryptic line, "The first word of my final resting place." Lara instantly understood what it meant. She rushed to her father's grave and pressed the first letter of his name, R, for Richard, on the stone. That triggered a mechanism, revealing a hidden slot. Without hesitation, Lara inserted the key and turned it. Suddenly, a door on the far side of the tomb slowly creaked open, revealing her father's secret office. There, Lara finds some fake passports and an old video camera containing a message from her father, Richard. In the video, Richard explains that after his wife's death, he became obsessed with finding a way to see her again in the afterlife. That's why he began working on Project Himiko. He urges Lara to destroy all of his research, warning that if it falls into the wrong hands, it could lead to chaos. But instead of burning it, Lara starts going through the documents and videos. She finds a box labeled Himiko and begins reading about the ancient queen and the island of Yamatai, where Himiko was supposedly entombed. Lara learns that Richard had set out for Yamatai himself. She also discovers that the ship captain Richard had arranged to take him there is now the same person set to take her, because Lara still hadn't signed the death certificate papers, and without that, she hadn't received her father's inheritance. So, Lara sold her jade necklace and used the money to travel to Hong Kong. There, while she was searching for the captain of a ship, a group of boys pretended to help her, then suddenly snatched her bag and ran off. Lara chased them, jumping across boats in the harbor, but they climbed onto one that had already started moving. Not giving up, she ran through the market and eventually caught up with them. As soon as the boys got off the boat, Lara managed to grab the one carrying her bag. But then, the boy pulled a knife on her, trying to scare her off. Thinking fast, Lara swung across on a nearby hook and landed safely on the other side. That's when she finally spotted the ship she had been looking for, the Endurance. But the boys still wouldn't leave her alone, and eventually, they surrounded Lara. Just then, the ship's captain, Lu Run, fired a warning shot and quickly chased the boys away. He then told Lara to leave right away, but Lu had been drinking heavily, and in his drunken state, he lost balance and fell off the ship. Lara threw water on him to wake him up. Once he came to, she showed him a letter written by her father and asked about Richard. Lu told her that his own father was also named Lu, and it was possible that her father might have spoken to his. In fact, his father was missing too. It turned out that both of their fathers had vanished during the same expedition. That's when Lara told him they were both headed to Yamatai. Later, Lara found some coded clues in her father's diary, which pointed toward where they might have gone. Lu guessed that these codes represented the hands of a clock. Using this clue, Lara marked the island's exact location on the map. As soon as Lu saw it, he warned her that the island was in a very dangerous area. Reaching it wouldn't be easy, and besides, he didn't care about his father, or at least, that's what he told himself. But later, when he came across an old childhood photo of himself with his father, he paused and began to rethink everything. Lara also noticed some items lying around and figured that Lu had probably lost money gambling the night before. Hoping to convince him, she offered Lu a large sum of money in exchange for his help. Lu agreed, and together, The two of them set off toward Yamatai Island. Along the way, while reading through her father's diary, Lara found a mysterious Asian artifact hidden among Richard's belongings. She finds out that Himiko wasn't just buried, she was imprisoned behind a locked door. And somehow, Richard had figured out a way to open it. But even reaching her location on the island was no easy task. The journey was full of danger, and they knew they'd have to overcome serious obstacles to get there. During this mission, Richard was being closely watched by an organization known as the Order of Trinity. Their goal? To seize control of humanity using ancient magical powers. Richard feared what might happen if they ever got their hands on Himiko's power. One night, Lara suddenly woke up to a violent storm raging outside. She rushed up to the deck, where Lou was struggling to control the ship. Through the chaos, Lara realized they were getting dangerously close to Yamatai Island. But massive waves were now slamming into the ship again and again. Lou shouted for her to abandon the ship. Instead, Lara ran to her cabin to grab her father's diary, leaving the old puzzle behind. And then, it happened. The ship smashed into a giant rock, and Lara was thrown into the sea. The storm separates Lou and Lara. Somehow, Lara makes it to shore, alone, only to realize she's not alone on the island. She notices other people there. But before she can make sense of anything, someone hits her from behind, and she blacks out. The next morning, Lara wakes up inside a tent. Sitting beside her is a man named Matthias Vogel. He told her, "I have a daughter too, just like you." Matthias explains that he can't leave the island until his is complete. When Lara checks her belongings, she realizes her bag is missing. Matthias reveals he now has Richard's diary, the very one she was protecting, and says it contains everything he needs. Then he drops a bombshell. "We captured your father, but he refused to cooperate, so we had no choice but to kill him." Lara is shattered, her father, gone. As she steps outside, she sees workers planting explosives to blow apart the mountain. While being led away in captivity, she spots Lou. He's also been captured. They're forcing him to work. Then Matthias ordered everyone to leave the area. On the way, Lou told Lara that most of the workers here were either fishermen whose boats had sunk, or people who had gotten caught in the smugglers' nets and ended up here. Lara revealed that Matthias had killed her father, and Lou soon found out from the workers that his own father had been killed too. Lara apologized to Lou for bringing him to such a dangerous place. Using Richard's diary, Matthias discovered the entrance to Himiko's tomb, and all workers, including Lara and Lou, started clearing the path to it. While working, an old man collapsed from weakness, but instead of helping, a guard ordered him to stand up and keep working. Lara and Lou stood up for the old man and confronted the guard, but then, out of nowhere, Matthias appeared and shot the old man from behind. Lou picked up the shovel and threw it at the guard, which gave Lara a chance to escape. As she ran, another man aimed his gun at her, but Lou attacked him just in time and saved her. Seeing an opportunity, Lou started to chase after her, but Matthias shot him in the arm. Lara reached a hill and tried to cross it by climbing over a fallen tree, but due to the gunfire behind her, she lost her balance and fell into the river. Struggling to stay afloat, she was carried toward a waterfall. Just in time, she grabbed onto the wing of a crashed airplane and somehow pulled herself up. But the plane, already in a broken-down state, couldn't take her weight and began to fall apart. Lara quickly ran toward the center of the wreck and managed to jump into the main body of the plane just before the wing snapped off. Now the entire plane started to break apart and eventually got lodged between two hills. Luckily, Lara found an old parachute inside. As the wreckage gave way and she fell, she opened the parachute just in time. She crash-landed deep in the jungle. During the fall, a sharp tree branch pierced her stomach. Screaming in pain, she pulled it out and stumbled into a nearby cave to spend the night. While she was sleeping, Lara suddenly heard a noise and stepped outside. Out of nowhere, one of Matthias' men, Rocket, grabbed her. Lara bit his arm to escape and tried to fight back with everything she had. But Rocket grabbed her again and slammed her to the ground. Then, he started to suffocate her. In desperation, Lara grabbed a stone and struck him on the head. Then she pushed him down and forced his face into the mud, holding him there so he couldn't breathe. In just a few moments, Rocket was dead. Lara was still in shock from killing someone for the first time when she noticed someone moving in the darkness. Without thinking, she began to follow him. She saw the man climbing a hill, and when she got closer, she realized it was her father, Richard. Richard couldn't believe his eyes. He thought it was just an illusion. How could his daughter possibly be here? But Lara assured him she was really here. When Richard saw her, his eyes filled with tears. He asked, "What are you doing here?" Lara was injured, so Richard carefully bandaged her wound and told her to rest. He promised that this time, he would never leave her alone. The next morning, the workers cleared the path leading to Himiko's tomb. After that, Matthias made a mysterious phone call to someone. When Lara woke up, she saw Richard shaving, and she helped him with it. He told her how hard it had been for him to leave her behind, but because of Himiko, He couldn't bring himself to leave the island. He then revealed something shocking. Matthias was working for the same group, the Trinity organization. Richard said he had to stop Matthias from reaching Himiko at all costs. Then Richard asked Lara, "Did you burn all my research?" Lara told him she hadn't. Hearing this made Richard visibly anxious, but Lara explained that if she had destroyed his research, she never would have made it to him. Later, when Richard found out that Matthias had his diary, he became furious, but none of this mattered to Lara. Richard had warned her, it was no joke. If Himiko's tomb was ever opened, the entire world could be destroyed. Lara decided to escape using Matthias's phone, because she knew she couldn't fight off that many soldiers on her own. She grabbed a bow and some arrows that were lying nearby and ran toward Matthias's camp. Somehow, she managed to sneak into his tent, but not long after, Matthias showed up too, forcing Lara to quickly hide. Matthias got a message on his phone. His boss was going to arrive there soon. But despite all his efforts, Matthias still hadn't found the codes needed to open the tomb's entrance. After he left, Lara quietly slipped out of the tent. That's when she saw Lou. She took down the guard who was watching over the workers, then told the workers to grab any weapons they could while she went to steal Matthias's phone. As soon as Matthias left the tent, Lara ran inside to steal the satellite phone, and she found it. But then she saw Richard heading toward the tomb. Matthias quickly spotted Richard, captured him, and began torturing him. He wanted to finish this job quickly and return to his family. But Richard warned him, saying, "Once this tomb is opened, your family won't survive." Realizing that Richard wasn't going to tell him the truth, Matthias ordered the guards to shoot him. But just before the guard could pull the trigger, Lara shot the guard. Now, she aimed her gun at Matthias. But Matthias already had his gun pointed at Richard. Matthias knew that Lara didn't believe the world would end, which is why he wanted her to convince her father to open the tomb. After thinking it through, Lara decided that she had finally found her father after such a long time, and she wouldn't let anything happen to him. Then, Lara said, "I know how to open the door," just like she had solved that old puzzle when she first arrived. Lara carefully turned the wheels on the door, and just like before, it worked. The entrance opened, and Lara, Richard, Matthias, and his entire team stepped inside. As they entered, a powerful gust of wind blew past them. Richard believed it was Himiko's breath, but Matthias disagreed, saying, "No human breathes that fast." Suddenly, Lara accidentally stepped on a hidden trigger. A spear shot up from the ground, killing one of the guards instantly. Moving forward, they reached a deep pit filled with bones. The remains of countless people were scattered all around. They used a ladder to cross to the other side. Then, another guard accidentally triggered a mechanism. The circular doors behind them slammed shut, trapping everyone inside. At the same time, the floor started to crack and break apart beneath them. That's when Lara noticed one guard who had been left outside. He was peeking at them through the keyhole. Lara quickly tried to open the door again using the wall's wheel mechanism as a key. But before she could finish, the floor beneath her suddenly gave way. Lara somehow ended up hanging from the door. Even then, she was using all her strength to try and open it, but it just wouldn't budge. Then she remembered the puzzle from the entrance. She had to combine the yellow and red wheels to create a green one. As soon as the green light appeared, the door finally opened. When it did, she saw broken graves lying ahead. These were the graves of Himiko's maids, women who had continued to serve her even after death, just like Richard had written in his diary. Seeing this, Lara couldn't help but wonder, was the curse actually real? Finally, they reached Himiko's grave. Richard tried to convince Matthias that opening the tomb would be a terrible mistake, but Matthias didn't listen. The guards went ahead and opened Himiko's coffin. Inside was Himiko's lifeless body. But then, suddenly, she opened her eyes, and her body started rotting away before their eyes. At that moment, Lara realized something strange. In Tomb's paintings, Himiko was never shown as a demon. Then Lara remembered the earlier riddle, which said that Himiko would have to die in order to get her life back, and that anyone who came in contact with Himiko's hand would die. Lara quickly stopped the guards from touching her. She had now understood that Himiko had sacrificed herself to save the world. But the guards didn't listen. As soon as they touched the body, Himiko suddenly stood up. Matthias thought it was just a trick to scare them, but one of the guards who touched Himiko's body saw his hands turn black, and his flesh began to rot. It was then revealed that a deadly virus was inside Himiko's body. She had isolated herself to stop the infection from spreading to others. The infected guard's entire body started to rot. In a panic, he opened fire, accidentally killing the other guard who had also touched Himiko. Then, Matthias shot him too. Even after witnessing everything, Matthias still decided to take one of Himiko's fingers to deliver it to his boss. While all this was happening, Lara picked up an axe and attacked the last remaining guard. At the same time, Richard grabbed a gun from a dead guard and shot Matthias in the leg. A wounded guard then chased after Lara as she ran outside. Matthias told Richard to go home, but Richard refused to let Himiko's finger leave the island under any circumstances, because if it did, the virus would spread across the world. Matthias started shooting at Richard, but soon ran out of bullets. Just then, one of the infected guards got up and attacked Richard. While Richard was distracted, Matthias escaped. Richard quickly shot the infected guard, but it was too late. The guard had already touched him. That meant the virus had now entered Richard's body as well. To slow the infection, Richard bandaged his arm tightly to stop the bleeding. Meanwhile, Lara found a chance to hide in a tomb belonging to one of the maids. But she accidentally stepped on a bone, and the sound gave away her location. A guard nearby heard it and came looking. As the guard climbed in after her, the weight of both of them caused the grave to collapse, and Lara fell into another hidden room. The guard fell there too, right along with her. Then, Lara spotted a trigger and stepped onto it. Suddenly, sharp wooden debris started raining down on them. One of the pieces struck the guard, killing him instantly. Soon after, Lara made her way back to Himiko's tomb, but Richard told her to stay away. He had contracted the virus too. He asked Lara to stop Matthias while he set Himiko's tomb on fire. Lara was desperate to save her father, but Richard had already accepted his fate. With tears in his eyes, he said, "Getting to see my daughter again, that alone meant everything to me." Choking back her tears, Lara picked up her weapons and said goodbye to her father for the last time. Meanwhile, Matthias was crossing the chasm of bones. Lara jumped across and landed on the stairs in front of him, blocking his path. She kicked him hard and knocked him to the other side. But Matthias wasn't going to give up that easily. A fierce fight broke out between them. At one point, Matthias grabbed Lara by the neck, but she fought back and managed to knock him down. She couldn't let Matthias leave under any circumstances. That's why she threw the stairs down. But Matthias quickly got up, grabbed an axe, and swung it at Lara. He knocked her to the ground and began choking her. Meanwhile, Richard blew up Himiko's tomb using a bomb. The explosion distracted Matthias just long enough for Lara to kick him and shove the bag, containing Himiko's severed finger, straight into his mouth. The virus had now entered Matthias too. Without wasting a second, Lara pushed him into the pit. The whole place started collapsing, and Lara struggled to climb up a nearby wall to escape. Just then, Lou saw her from the other side. He managed to reach out and help pull her to safety. Together, they spotted Trinity helicopters nearby. They threatened the pilots and forced them to leave the area. Back in London, Lara finally signed the documents confirming her father's death. This made her the official owner of Richard's company. Anna suggested that she should now take charge of the entire business. But Lara replied that she didn't care about any of that. In the end, Lara bought back her mother's necklace, the one she had once sold. Holding it in her hands, she remembered her parents with a heavy heart. And that's where the story ends. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.